In part one, we saw a great match between Noam Dar versus Zach Gibson, and we saw Danny Burch not only debut on NXT UK, but call out Pete Dunne. On part two, we saw a couple of factions start growing on NXT UK, and above all else, we saw the gorgeous debut of the gorgeous ISLA Dawn. Good lord, let's talk about NXT UK. Everybody, it's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your late Halloween edition of the NXT UK brand. Now, don't know how I'm going to go through with this. I don't know how I'm going to do this going forward for the next little bit, because it seems for the next little bit we're going to be getting 2 episodes of NXT UK a week. Now, that would work if it was like presented like 1 2-hour episode. But it's not. It's being presented as 2 1-hour episodes with a definite beginning and a definite end. So, I'm throwing it out to you guys. I want to know how you guys want me to do this. Do you want me to treat it like it's 1 2-hour show? Do you want me to come up here and drop a review for like sort of show 1 and then another review for show 2? If you want it to be all in one review, it's probably going to be in 2 sections anyway. So please let me know. I'm going to kind of throw it all at you this time around. And we'll see where we go from there. That's why this is so late. That's why this wasn't done on Wednesday. That's why it's now Friday, and I'm doing this for you guys. Other than it being Halloween and whatnot. Don't really know what to say as far as house cleaning. Go check out my thoughts on Crown Jewel, even though it's already happened now. Please go throw your questions into the Ask the Phoenix Q&A, because that's going to be done sometime over Survivor Series week. And we go on. There's not very much preamble in the UK brand, as a lot of other people have mentioned. It's basically just match at the moment, and most of the time they're relying on people that you either remember from the tournament or remember from the show after the tournament. And it's interesting, because ultimately you're watching wrestling to watch matches. Story is good, character is good, but you want there to be good matches. But it gives the show a little bit less structure. So it always just seems like I'm jumping into the matches right away. So, Trent Seven versus Saxton Huxley. Saxton Huxley, I got nothing to say, because, you know, I don't really know anything about him. Trent Seven, he's part of Mustache Mountain. He's been part of NXT. We've seen him interacting with Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne, etc. Also, I've gotten a chance to see him a lot at Destiny. So, you know where I am in this. You see a pre-match interview where Saxton Huxley calls the NXT UK brand his call to adventure. Anyways, as we start them, I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean, if I'm perfectly honest with you. There's a collar and elbow tie-up, and Huxley works the arm and the wrist. Both men trade some chops. There's a high knee by Huxley and some sick chocks by Seven and a DDT. Sick chops by Seven, not 6 chocks by Seven, because that doesn't make any sense. There's a really badly botched Thez press by Huxley, some high knees and some elbow drops. Mounted punches by Huxley and a seated Cobra Clutch. Shoulder tackle by Huxley and back to the Cobra Clutch. Again, because I don't know him, it's kind of unfair for me to say this. He keeps going back to the Cobra Clutch. Now, if this was somebody I knew, if this was somebody I knew well enough to say, hey, this is a definite signature part of their arsenal, then I would appreciate it. It would be part of the story. But because it's somebody I don't know, it really just seems like he's sort of a one-trick pony. I know that's not fair. I'm just telling you what it looks like to me. Shoulder tackle by Huxley and back to the Cobra Clutch. Again, 7-star lariat by Seven and chops in the corner. Boot by Huxley, backdrop and chops by Seven. Snap suplex by Seven, and the burning hammer gets the win for Trent Seven. Now, here's what I'm going to say. A, it kind of sucks, because on the one hand, I like Trent Seven, and a guy that I like just won a match, so I'm happy. On the other hand, it's almost immediately obvious that they're going to ride, for at least the first little while, the NXT UK brand on him and Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. Now, on the one hand, that's really good, because we don't get a John Cena, Roman Reigns type effect with this, because they're people we like that are being these foreposts. But what it does mean is that there's not even a slight bit of surprise when they win, which is kind of a bummer, I'm not gonna lie. Now, we see a video package for the Coffee Brothers that basically amounts to they're big and they squash everybody, and they're impressive and they're athletic as hell, but they're big and they squash people, and everybody should be scared. Rah. They are NXT UK's equivalent of War Raiders or the Authors of Pain or the Ascension, back when the Ascension was good. The reason we got that video package is because now we have Mark Coffey in one-on-one competition with Flash Morgan Webster. They go back to the first episode of NXT UK where Joe and Mark Coffey double-teamed Mark Andrews and he was saved by Flash Morgan Webster, and now we get the other half. We got Mark facing Flash, and gee, I wonder if that's going to end up being a tag team match later on down the line. Anyways, can't read my own writing, guys. Sorry. It's one of those weeks. Body blows by Coffeys and a series of kicks by Webster. Three mid-air arm drags and an armbar by Webster, and a head scissor and a standing senton. Joe distracts on the apron. Uppercut and a beatdown by Coffey, followed by a leg sweep. Back leg sweep by Coffey, and more body shots. One punch knockdown by Coffey and another back suplex. Both men trade some punches for a while, and a twisting kick by Flash Morgan Webster. A running knee by Webster, and a 619 around the post into a head scissor on the floor. Neat little touch there. Hate when I have to flip pages mid-match because it means that to you guys it probably sounds like there was a pause in the match. There really wasn't. Vertical suplex by Coffey and an uppercut in the corner, forearm by Coffey, but a quick crucifix powerbomb pin for the win for Webster. Now, I like Webster. I don't know so much about British culture. I'm not going to pretend that I do, but he seems to be NXT UK's equivalent of... those of you that have followed me for a while know that I refer to non-Finn Balor, or sorry, non-Demon Finn Balor as Rockstar Douchebag Finn Balor, or like a Chris Jericho would be another better example. He seems to be like the UK equivalent of that, like the UK equivalent of the Rockstar character. And everybody obviously loves him. The whole in mod we trust. I don't get the mod thing, so if any of my friends from the UK want to throw it down in the box below and tell me what the whole mod thing is all about, I would really appreciate that. Predictable 2-on-1 beatdown by the Coffey brothers, and the save is made by Mark Andrews and Travis Banks, the Kiwi Buzzsaw. So the babyfaces, in almost New Day style, have a 3-on-2 advantage against the heels. So the heels leave, and Nigel McGuinness on commentary makes an excellent point that says, they may be bruisers, but they're not idiots. It's all good. Gee, I wonder who they're going to grab as a third person. More importantly, Danny Burch making his debut on NXT UK. Now, this is really good, because on the same night, regular NXT, we saw him go up against Mendoza and Carrillo with Oney Lorcan. Now, I was 50-50 on Danny Burch coming over to NXT UK. Obviously, it's where his home is, it's where his heart is, probably. But I really do like the tag team of Lorcan and Burch on, I guess you call it NXT proper now. There's not much to this at all. Punch fest right away, European uppercuts by Burch, corner beat down by Gradwell, and a You Look Stupid chant because Gradwell has a mohawk like Sheamus, and Sheamus gets the You Look Stupid chant. It's all good. German suplex and Illyria by Burch, and an uppercut Falcon Arrow by Gradwell, some boots and some jabs by Burch, forearms by Gradwell, body shots by Burch, headbutt by Burch, top rope suspended DDT, and Burch gets the win. I like this. There's actually some consistency here because in his tag team with Oney Lorcan, they've got that double team sort of elevated spike DDT thing that they do. Here, he's in a singles match, so instead of using Oney Lorcan, he uses the top rope. There's some continuity there between NXT Danny Burch and NXT UK Danny Burch. That's a good little thing. Cuts a post-match promo, talks about England, how England has always been his home. He's gone all around the world carrying the flag of British wrestling. He was British strong style before British strong style was popular. He's in the best shape of his life, he's in the prime of his career, and he calls out Pete Dunne. So please, 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 I know we're going to get to Zach Gibson in a second, and that's going to be a thing that happens, but please give me Danny Burch versus Pete Dunne for the NXT, okay. Are we calling it the NXT UK title, or are we calling it the WWE UK title? Because they flip back and forth between what they say and what they put on graphics and what they put in ads. So they need to figure that out too. We see a video package by, sorry, not a video package by Jordan Devlin. We see a video package on Jordan Devlin, who is sort of crazy-looking younger Finn Balor, in my opinion. Main event for part one of this, I guess, is Noam Dar versus Zach Gibson. We know the story here. Zach Gibson won the WWE UK Championship Tournament. He got to face Pete Dunne. He feels like he got gypped because he had to face 3 other guys first, and Noam Dar basically had to show up to get a title shot. They talk some shit. Johnny Saint stopped them from fighting last week so they could promote a match for this week, which probably means it happened sometime later in the same night when it was taped, but whatever. Noam Dar versus Zach Gibson. Collar and elbow tie up in an armbar by Gibson, reversed by Dar. Armbar and a pin attempt by Dar in the early going. Armbar by Gibson. Gibson rolls into a wrist lock, into a figure 4 headlock, inverted figure 4 by Dar, and it turns into an Indian deathlock. Arm drag and another armbar by Gibson. Pinning reversal sequence and a knee lift by Gibson. Arm wrench over the top rope by Gibson is a nice little spot. Run the rail drop kick off the rampway by Dar. Now, how do I explain this? They don't have, for those of you that haven't watched the show but are for some reason watching me, they have a stage and then they have a sideways ramp that goes down the front of the stage. That's their entryway. They don't have the proper, I guess you could say WWE style entrance ramp. So they've got this sideways ramp that runs parallel with the ring. So he does the run the rail a la Jeff Hardy along this diagonal rampway and kicks them into the steps. It's a nice spot, and it's making use of the very unique setup that they have in this, what is it, the Cambridge Corn Exchange building? I don't know. Somebody in the UK, let me know down below. Side slam by Dar, forearms and a mudhole stomp by Gibson, wrist lock by Gibson, a neck vice into a knuckle lock. Body shots by Dar. Gibson works the foot and the ankle. The arm is posted and suplexed by Gibson. Series of strikes by Dar. Back elbow and a Northern Light suplex by Dar. Now, the Northern Light suplex by Dar is a fucking thing of beauty. Let me tell you. Fisherman suplex by Dar. Top rope code breaker by Gibson is just better than it should be. Dar tosses Gibson out of the ring. Now, toss powerbomb. And when I say toss, I mean gets him up jackknife position and just sort of explodes him forward. Toss powerbomb by Gibson on Noam Dar on that same diagonal rampway. So not only is it not a controlled fall, not only is it a complete physical one human being tossing another person, but he's landing on a diagonal surface. That's going to fuck you up 7 ways from Sunday. Shankly Gates attempt by Gibson in the ring. Dar breaks at the ropes. One punch knockdown by Gibson, a boot and a forearm. Dar kicks out Gibson's leg and goes for a quick pin attempt. Top rope double stomp by Gibson to the, top rope double stomp by Dar to Gibson's injured leg and knee. Fucking phenomenal. Dar reverses the knee bar into an ankle lock, into a grapevine. Both men trade shots on the ground. They're in the respective hold. They're in that leg lock that Dar's just put him in, and they're swinging at each other from the ground. Boot by Dar, deadlift brainbuster by Gibson, and Gibson gets the fucking win. This was fucking phenomenal. This is, I mean, I believe that they've made a mistake pointing out so many times that Noam Dar didn't do anything in the CWC and didn't really do anything over on the 205 Live brand other than have the stupid Alicia Fucks gimmick. But bringing him over here, introducing him at the WWE UK show back at Royal Albert Hall, having him be a surprise entrant in that Fatal 4-Way, win that Fatal 4-Way, get a title shot where he got a chance to look really good against Pete Dunne, and then going and holding his own against this guy Gibson, who I'm getting more and more familiar with, and I like. Noam Dar has found his niche within the company, and I think it's on guys like Triple H and Regal and Johnny Saint and whoever else is helping them, that they have shuffled him around so many times until they found a spot for him that works. Now, the show as a whole, what are we doing? We're building the Coffee Brothers. We're building British Strong Style. We haven't, other than the one championship match with Noam Dar, we haven't really seen their champion. We're waiting for the other championships to be established, but we got this great sort of like jockeying at the top. Right now, realistically, you've got Zach Gibson, you've got Noam Dar, and you've got Danny Burch, in my opinion, that are all equal contenders for Pete Dunne and his championship. Where we go from there, I don't know. Well, where we go from there is where I'm going to go watch the second show in a bit. But this was a good episode. I kind of wish that this episode was an episode on its own. I kind of wish they weren't doing this double up thing so that this show could be it for the week and we could just let it settle and sit in. But we can't. And if we're going to get more of this, then how much can we really complain about too much NXT? Anyways, I'm going to be back with you guys in a second, and here is part 2. And we're back. Seems like NXT UK wants to make me look like an absolute idiot because I just finished telling you guys how there's not much story and it's a whole lot of wrestling, and we got a second show with a whole bunch of story and a little bit of wrestling. Now we got Mustache Mountain, which you know I like, taking on Huxley and Gradwell. Huxley just faced Trent Seven. We just finished talking about that. Gradwell just finished facing Danny Burch. We just finished talking about that. So let's throw them together. You figure Danny Burch would be in the mix somewhere, but no. Seven and Huxley start the match, collar and elbow tie-up, and the collar and elbow tie-up is stiff. There's a shoving match. There's some deep chops by Seven. Huxley tosses Seven out of the ring. Cheap shots by Gradwell. Choke on the ropes by Gradwell and stomps while he's in the ropes. One punch knockdown and more boots by Gradwell. High knees by Huxley, an elbow drop and some more right hands. Back fist by Seven, who tosses Huxley at Gradwell and tosses them both out of the ring. Tyler Bate finally gets the tag, and it's a hot fucking tag. He gets a suicide dive onto both men on the outside. Running star press when they're back in the ring by Bate as well. The running star press that Tyler Bate does is fucking poetry. Huxley tosses Seven into Bate. They double team Codebreaker Seven into a single leg crab by Gradwell, but Bate saves his partner by throwing Huxley at his partner. Bate and Seven win the match with a lariat suplex combination, which I believe is called the Snapdragon. Somebody tell me down in the box below if I am wrong. Again, much like I said before, because Tyler Bate and Trent Seven are going to be such a flagpole of this brand, and they are an established tag team going up against two guys that the commentary went out of their way to tell us just got together. On the one hand, I am celebrating the win of the guys that I like. Once again, on the other hand, you never really thought it was going to be anything else. So it's still something we got to get used to when people's places are already sort of in place. Backstage, we see Travis Banks in the locker room being seen to by Johnny Saint because we're to believe he's been assaulted in the backstage area. He's supposed to face Wolfgang in tonight's main event, and that's obviously not going to happen because he just got the shit kicked out of him. In the back, we see video packages on Isla Dawn and Ginny because Isla Dawn is going to debut later on tonight. Mark Andrews confronts Johnny Saint and says he's going to fight on behalf of his friend Travis Banks tonight. He knows that the Coffey brothers must be behind the attack, and he's going to fight for his friend's honor. It's all good. It's all wonderful. Now, if you think the attack was done by the Coffey brothers, how are you defending your friend's honor by going and fighting somebody else? That's something to be desired. What doesn't leave anything to be desired is Nina Samuels taking on My Heart's One True Song in Isla Dawn. Jesus fucking Christ, Isla Dawn. Let's just picture her in your head right now. She's fucking gorgeous. Anyway, Nina Samuels was there, was it the first episode, taking on Toni Storm, who is now the Mae Young Classic 2018 winner, so good for her. Io Shirai put on a hell of a fight. I'm sure she's going to do good on NXT proper, but NXT UK being the newer brand, I guess you needed somebody from this brand to hype the brand. Now, I said, right at the beginning of my coverage of the Mae Young Classic, I said the one thing the Mae Young Classic is doing this year is getting me hyped for the women's division of NXT UK. Really unfortunate how the whole women's championship situation ended up for NXT UK, because they didn't televise it early enough that their championship could be defended on that pay-per-view, which is kind of a bummer. Now, we all know who their champion is. I'm not going to say it unless, you haven't read about it yet. But their champion, who already exists, did face Dakota Kai in a dark match at Evolution, but that is not the same thing, considering the original rumor was that their champion, who will remain unnamed, was supposed to go to Evolution and defend against Isla Dawn. Anyways, I've rambled on quite long enough. Isla Dawn, Nina Samuels. Collar and elbow tie-up. Cheap shots in the corner by Nina. Collar and elbow tie-up once again. Elbows and uppercuts in rapid succession by Isla Dawn. Running kick to the face by Dawn and a suplex by Nina. Nina works on Dawn's arm in the ropes for a while. Nina tosses Dawn head and shoulder first into the second turnbuckle, but after a series of kicks, Isla Dawn hits this clutch suplex. Now, again, you guys that have been watching me for a long time know I say this quite a bit. I don't know what to call this, so I'm going to try and explain what it was. It was a belly-to-belly suplex, but she didn't have her around the belly. She had her sort of around the chest area. Now, since we're talking about the women's division, it feels kind of awkward to say the chest-to-chest suplex. So, it was kind of over-under around the chest area, flip, there's your suplex, and go. So I think the safest thing for me to do for now, until they give it an actual name, is to call it a clutch suplex. Isla Dawn gets the win. Isla Dawn's fucking gorgeous. Isla Dawn can do whatever the fuck she wants as far as I'm concerned. Pete Dunne will indeed face Danny Burch next week, and Jesus Christ, if that's not a take my money announcement, I don't know what is. Jordan Devlin, Mr. Please Don't Call Me Finn Balor, taking on Tucker. Devlin works the arm right away. Tucker reverses. Top rope back elbow by Tucker and a step up enziguri. Uranagi and a moonsault by Devlin. Mounted punches. Forearms by Devlin and stamping on the ribs, much like the Orton Stomp, aka the Garvin Stomp. Corner chops by Devlin. Drop kick and a key lock. High knee by Devlin, sling blade by Tucker, slingshot tornado mic check by Tucker. Now, I don't have very much to say about Tucker. I haven't seen him other than like little flashes of brilliance since this show started. But that maneuver there to slingshot, grab the guy, pull him back into a mic check in midair was fucking gorgeous. Back elbow and a modified Michinoku driver by Devlin gets the win. Jordan Devlin is a creepy looking fucker, isn't he? He does have the similarities to Finn Balor. He was trained by Finn Balor. They're from the same place. I get it. They're going to have the same style. They're going to have mannerisms. But Jesus Christ, he looks like a creepy fuck. If you gave him the old Johnny Curtis gimmick, it would work. Let's just say that. Tony Storm is going to take on Dakota Kai in 2 weeks, and that makes me insanely happy because I love both of them. Wolfgang taking on Travis Banks' replacement, Mark Andrews. Now, I'm going to say this a lot when we do Wolfgang matches, but Jesus Christ, the size discrepancy between the two of these. Mark Andrews is over as hell. I say this now. I say this like I did back at the tournament. I say this like I did back in the first tournament. I say this like I did when he was Mandrews in TNA. This guy is over as hell, and he's a lot of fun to watch. He's got a lot of energy. It's all good. He's a non-lucha Rey Mysterio as far as his energy goes. Anyways, collar and elbow tie-up, but obviously the size difference wins. Wolfgang leans on his arm for a submission. He doesn't even really put him in a submission. He just sort of leans into his arm a little bit because he can. Headlock by Andrews, arm drag by Andrews, drop kick, and a pendulum kick. Hurricane Rana by Andrews tosses Wolfgang out of the ring. Suicide dive by Mark Andrews is caught by Wolfgang. Wolfgang gorilla press slams Andrews into the edge of the apron, and Jesus Christ, he landed like a pancake made out of rocks. That's not a saying, but it is now. Mudhole. I was about to say Wolfgang by Mudhole. Mudhole by Wolfgang. And a hard Irish whip in the corner. Chops by Andrews in a series of kicks and an enziguri. 619 to the back by Andrews and what he calls a stomp 152. It's a roll through that would normally be a pin combination, but he rolls completely through it and stomps on the chest. It's stomp 182. Punk music reference. I get it. Whatever. Standing moonsault's not too bad either. Forearms by Andrews. A gutbuster by Wolfgang. Gutbuster by Wolfgang is something where Andrews came off the top rope, tried to do a top rope something, and Wolfgang caught him in midair in a gutbuster. It was almost a codebreaker combination. Was almost a codebreaker type maneuver, but he was way too to the one side for it to be a codebreaker. Spear by Wolfgang is terrifying. I go back to, let's look at the suicide dive by Killian Dane. A spear by Wolfgang is kind of the same thing. Body shots by Andrews and a wasteland by Wolfgang. Wolfgang misses a moonsault. DDT by Andrews. Suicide senton by Andrews and a stun dog millionaire. Shooting star press gets the win for Mark Andrews. And it's all good. Or you think it's all good. The two of them kind of look at each other. The two of them have a respectful handshake. You got that expression on Wolfgang's face. It's like, you got me this time, I'll get you next time type thing. And Wolfgang slowly, a little too slowly, makes his way up the rampway. Now, as he's going up the rampway, the Coffee Brothers literally run by him and have a 2-on-1 beatdown on Mark Andrews, who's already tired from his match. It's all good. He gets saved by Flash Morgan Webster, not Travis Banks, because Travis Banks is already injured. And he, Flash sort of evens the odds. You got a 2-on-2 beatdown. Wolfgang comes back, turns heel for reasons, and there's a 3-on-2 beatdown to end the show. This was a lot of fun. We got a lot of stuff to play with here. We got Tony Storm versus Dakota Kai to look forward to. We got Danny fucking Burch versus Pete Dunne to look forward to. We got these guys that are apparently a faction now, which means you've got, whether you want it or not, a bunch of factions in this brand already. You got British Strong Style with Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, and Trent Seven. You got the Coffee Brothers and Wolfgang. And you've got this other sort of ragtag group with Mark Andrews, Flash Morgan Webster, and Travis Banks. Now, I know we're not at the point where NXT UK is having their own takeovers, but you could take those 9 guys and have a WarGames match. I'm just saying. Anyways, that's all I got to say. I was a little bit more awake for this show than I was for the first. I hope you guys have liked what I've had to say. Please let me know how you want these shows to be done moving forward. If they do 2 back-to-back shows, do you want me to do 2 back-to-back videos, or do you want me to compile it into one video like I've done today. I'd love to know what you guys think. I'd love to know what you guys want to see out of this, because the double up of shows is going to be a little weird for my content on here, but ultimately I'm doing it for you guys, so you guys should tell me what you want. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.